welcome back to the Patient Magnet podcast. My name is Jared Rohr, and joined with me today is Mary Robb, the incredible CEO of Social Practice, a wonderful social media management agency that allows your clinic to scale effectively. And today we're going to be talking about social media. So I wanted to introduce Mary really quick, and then we can get into the meat and potatoes of what I'm going to be picking your brain on today.
Ooh, I am so excited to be here. Thanks so much, Jared. And yeah, well, Jared and I have been working together for a little over a year now, year and a half.
Yeah,
Feels like
yeah.
for a lifetime. We work together on clients to help them build their marketing strategies and help them just find more success through their marketing investment. So this is really special. We get to do
I
this
know.
today.
Mary's one of my closest friends, so I'm very grateful, Mary, that you're taking time to be on here. She's super busy. She runs a agency that is multiple times the size of mine, and I cannot imagine. This woman's calendar is unbelievable. It looks like a rainbow at all given times. So getting any time on your calendar is just a blessing. So I'm very grateful.
I'm
The
excited to be here.
I'm glad you're here. The thing about Mary that I always like. So we met a year and a half ago. It was a couple months, I think, before Aesthetic Next, a year and a half, 2 years ago, and Marco Valley introduced us. Is who it was? I can remember thanking him. And the thing that I aligned with Mary on a ton is that I have worked with dozens of social media agencies, or I've connected with dozens of social media managers. And most of the time, their primary focus is highly engaged posts or pretty content, which can be good things.
Hmm.
Can be.
Yep.
But Mary's focus that I appreciated so much is leads. Her
Hmm.
focus, her agency's focus is how, yes, the attention is great, but how does that attention turn into patients? Would you agree with that? I feel like that's what I resonated with the most when we first met. And I feel like that's why businesses like working with you guys, because you have such a output focus.
Yeah, we're results oriented. At the end of the day, social media and marketing in general can be very confusing for a small business owner because each channel, each tactic, there's going to be a different KPI that you need to focus on to measure success. Social media traditionally has fallen under the public relations PR umbrella, meaning it's been all about brand exposure, brand awareness, free content that can be created by you, your team, your patients, which is what PR is. It's free media exposure. However, there is so much opportunity to drive actual dollars through your social media account. But to preface that, I will say, because there tends to be some confusion around organic social media and ads. And I do want to start with
Yes.
that and just making sure that the expectations are set clear from the very beginning. Whenever you're consistent with social media, you have a strategy, you are using the right messaging, and you're spending time building your audience every single day, it will drive an ROI. You will see leads come through. However, the timing for that to happen is
Mm-hmm.
very broad. There are a lot of factors that impact how quickly you will see success. And the
Yeah.
industry average amount of time is 6 to 9 months for any organic marketing effort. So just to put in perspective what we should expect from this type of marketing strategy. Now, if you put paid ads behind what you're doing on social, so let's say you're
Mm-hmm.
posting consistently, you have a strategy, and then you want to also run a lead generation campaign, which is where you're running a specific offer, people click to claim it, and they're immediately sent to book an appointment with you. That's where you're going to get leads overnight. You can instantly start generating
Mm-hmm.
leads with an ads campaign. However, with organic, it will take time. But what's really cool about social media is once you're consistent with it, once you got your strategy down, you will start to see those patients coming through. And my personal favorite uh, result of it so far has just been that we tend to drive higher quality, more aligned leads through social than through other more traditional methods, just because people are taking the time to get to know you. So from the
Yeah.
day they follow you, that doesn't mean that they're going to instantly become a patient. They're just getting to know you. And so as time goes on, they're watching your stories, they're watching your videos, they're looking at your before and afters, they're slowly getting more comfortable and more familiar with you. By the time they pick up the phone to call, they're already sold on who you are and your
Yeah,
practice.
that's
Now
right.
it's just a matter of getting them the right treatment,
Yeah,
aka sell them a membership.
you're creating, yeah, well, you're creating fans is what you're doing, which is really
Yes.
cool. It's literally, this happens to me sometimes. This, in fact, this recently started happening to me, and I refuse to accept it. Is that I'll go to shows and clinic owners will come up to me and they'll say, "Oh my gosh, I've seen you at this show and this show, and I saw you on social media and this." And I'm starting to get people that are like following,
Yeah.
and I gears are turning in my head where I'm like, I need to be more on social so that fans can work with us, so that people that
Yeah.
like us can work with us. And you're creating that for clinics. You're creating that fandom where people can see, oh my gosh, wow, this person's funny. Oh my gosh, this person's so intelligent. Wow, they're so qualified. Wow, the results are amazing. You're building this case constantly that tells them like, I have got to go in and see this injector or this clinic. And I think building that fandom is so. I want to touch too on the timelines that you said, 6 to 9 months.
Mhm.
Because I want to touch on two things. One, the difference between that 6 to 9 months when an agency is running it versus when you are running it internally, and maybe you're a single room injector. I think a lot of this podcast, there's a few goals for this podcast. Number one, I want people to know about my amazing friends in the industry. I want people to know about what you
Mhm.
do. Number two, I want to help build momentum and speed for maybe people that like are starting to get their feet wet and they're starting to try to figure things out for themselves and how we can build momentum and speed for them. So
Mhm.
so when somebody starts their social media journey, when they're trying to, they say, you know what, I'm launching my clinic and I'm launching my social media.
Mhm.
What sorts of, 6 to 9 months is when they'll start seeing a major turnover in leads, and they'll start to feel it. I always tell people for SEO, like, we'll get you on the first page within about 90 days, and within
Which
90
is
days,
great, by the way. That's
which
an
is
incredible
fast. Yeah, it's fast.
accomplishment.
It's fast.
Yep.
And we always say we'll do it or it's free. And so far, I don't think we've ever had to give it for free to somebody, which is
You
great.
have a guarantee. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. We have a 90-day guarantee. Yeah.
You
For
know
getting
that
on the
they
first
teach
page.
that in Traction, is that as part of your business model, you should have a guarantee.
So our mutual business coach, Robert, he told me that. He goes, "What can you promise people?" I was like, I feel like we always get people on the first page of Google within 90 days. He goes, give them the guarantee, and then what? You tell them it's free. Like, they get free SEO if something fails. And so far, like, we've had like one tough market that like we just got over the line by the skin of our teeth.
Which,
But
speaking of, all of our clients, all the med spa aesthetic practices, they should come up with some sort of guarantee that fits with their
yeah.
values too. I mean, of course, you want to be patient. You want to be careful of patients taking advantage of it, but it's
Mm-hmm.
a great selling point if we can add it into our messaging. If there's a
Yeah.
promise or guarantee that we will make sure that you are happy with your results.
Yeah, look hotter or it's free. Get get 5 more people to give you their phone numbers a week, or it's free.
Yeah, yeah.
It's lead gen for the patient is what it is.
If you
Um,
don't leave looking better and feeling better than when you first got here, then we'll comp everything.
yeah, exactly. If you, well, I mean,
No, I'm
I
just
think that's an
kidding.
amazing. You know what? Why don't you
You got to
promise
be
that for
careful
your
because
clients? Why
people
don't you,
take advantage. Well, then that
then
forces
people
you
look
to
for it. Yeah,
you and your team to take before photos, because I know
right.
sometimes that can be tricky. But the
Mm-hmm.
only way you get access to that guarantee is we get to take before photos.
Mm-hmm.
So then you have proof. Like, look, you definitely, we've seen
You
improvement,
looked terrible here. Now you look great.
and
Uh,
now you're getting before and afters for your social media team. So selfishly, I
mhm.
would love that.
Exactly.
Yep.
Now, so what I was going to poke at was for our clients, after they hit the first page of Google, that's when they start seeing the momentum. So it's like after
Yep.
90 days, they hit the first page of Google and we start seeing, okay, they're getting more leads, they're
Mhm.
getting more traffic. What are some of those metrics that you like to see in clinics for social? I know there's probably a big range of follower count or engagement rate or whatever. There's probably a range. But
Mhm.
what are some of those things that you like to see performance wise for clinics to know that, okay, they're really about to start taking, turning a new leaf here?
Yeah, so we like to shoot for 50 to 100 new organic followers per month. That's not to be
Mm-hmm.
confused with paid followers and paid engagement, which, on a side note, do not do that. It will
Yes.
negatively impact your performance and your visibility. It's a vanity metric. and I strongly am against it. And I'm happy to go into any debate over this. It is not worth it.
Do you have people
So that
fight you on that? People are like, no, 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 we should buy followers.
sometimes, and more so, it's the bigger marketing agencies that don't support these practices where their
Yeah.
budgets are. Okay, let's just say, let's do some easy math. Let's say you do 1 to 5 million a year in revenue. All right.
Mhm.
Your budget's 10% of that for marketing. So let's, for an easier math, if you're doing 1 million a year in revenue, your monthly marketing budget is 8 to 10,000 a month.
Mhm.
So what that means is we need to be very strategic with where we're investing our dollars. If we're spending money on social media to buy a bunch of fake bots that are in Russia, China, India, and we're negatively impacting how visible we are in our local market, it's
Mhm.
not going to lead to success for our campaign. And we already have a limited amount of budget to work with. So
Yeah.
personally, it's not worth it. If you are a massive brand, and I'm talking you're spending 6 figures on marketing, sure. If we want to show that we have 100,000 followers and we want to buy followers, great. But just so you know, that's not going to help get you in front of the audience that you're trying to get in front of
Yeah.
locally. Because
Mhm.
Instagram and the different algorithms, they can see when you've purchased bots and they make your posts less visible.
Yeah.
So you'll see your engagement rate. I see this quite often: 100,000 followers, 5 likes per post. Why
Mhm.
is that? Because the content's no longer visible because they purchased a bunch of fake followers. So just be
Yeah.
careful with it. Um, Most
And they
clients I
probably
work
have
with,
super few followers to begin with. That's why they bought so many. We had during COVID, there was two injectors. I've told this story ad nauseum, but I don't know if I've ever told it to you. There was these two injectors that were both going live. One I will not name. We'll just call this Celebrity Injector A. The other one I will
Mhm.
name. It's Hermine Warren. Her handle is Hooked on Fillers. I love her with my entire heart and soul. She's so
Mhm.
special. Hermine
Yep.
Warren was live, and Celebrity Injector A X was live. Celebrity Injector
Yep.
X has 80,000 followers, had the blue check mark, was
Okay.
was just the hot thing. And I know
Mhm.
this person personally. They were live, and I pop into their live, and they had. Oh, so I'll tell about Hermine's first. Hermine had at the time maybe 3,000 followers, and she was
Okay.
doing a live. And Hermine's live, she was holding her phone like this, reading comments, and you could see directly up her nose while she was reading the comments. There were 2,000 people. She had 3,000
Yeah.
followers. There were 2,000 people on
Yep.
this live for Hermine,
Yep.
and they're all asking her questions, and she's chatting with all of them, and it's so sweet and so wonderful to see because she adds so much value to the industry. Injector X was in the next live, and I was like, oh, let me go support theirs. They had 3 people on their
Yep.
live of their 80,000 followers. And I know this person well enough to know that all 3 of them were their employees.
Yep.
That there was no real person on the live,
Yep.
and I remember thinking in that moment, I would way rather have Hermine's audience that would die for her than
Yep.
80,000 fakes that
Oh,
don't give a rip.
absolutely. And so that leads to my next point of just how do we measure, like you said, success. So followers is one to look at. When it comes to engagement metrics, it's really shifting right now to views. So because of the volume of video content that's now available, views is the number one measurement for success. People are not liking and commenting as much as they
Yeah.
used to. This is
Mm-hmm.
thanks to TikTok. Ever since TikTok came out, we've been able to get a lot more creative with videos. They're a lot more interesting, but we're consuming way more videos than we ever have, meaning that we're not liking, we're not commenting. So, views, impressions, reach, that's going to be your most important metric. And you want to see that growing month over month. An easy number to shoot for is 5 to 10% growth. The other metric that we are looking at are saves and shares. So that's
Yeah.
where someone sends your post to another friend. That would be a share. Or a save means that they have saved it to their album so they can come back and look at it later. That
Mm-hmm.
typically means it's a high value post. We see before and afters being saved quite a bit, and or educational carousels. And then the more viral audios or educational videos are the types of content that tend to get shared more often in the
That's
DMs or in a
huge.
story.
That's
Hmm.
huge. Okay, so education. So let me just bottle that up so I understand it. Content that's more interesting and educational gets shared more often, and
Right.
content that is typically something that somebody would want to come back to, like a carousel post or like a before and after, is typically saved
Yep.
more. Oh my
Yep.
gosh. And I mean, I feel like anytime I post content, those are the two things I care about the most is
Yep.
I do care about comments personally because I like seeing my community
I love
engage.
comments too. I'm just
Yeah.
my point is that people are not commenting like they used to.
No.
And that
No.
started with Gen Z. We're gonna blame them for everything. No, I'm just kidding. No, it started with them. Because millennials, we're chatty. We want to chit chat. We want to talk.
Yeah.
But it is less of a trend. And so when you see less comments on a post, and also people are getting smarter, they can when you comment on a post and you're a public profile, for example, everyone can see it.
Yeah.
Your followers of followers. So there is a little bit as time has gone on with how accessible we all are on social, people are a little bit more shy about commenting. But I agree with you. We
Hmm.
love comments. That means it's a
Yeah.
high value post. That means that you're really well connected to your audience. So you're doing something right.
Yeah, and I like so I've seen the same thing. In fact, most of the times I comment on things, it's usually like giving a friend a hug, saying like, "Oh my gosh, good
Yeah.
job." It's usually if I
Yeah.
comment, it's like, "Oh my gosh, I love this for you." It's very rare that I watch a post or I see something and it pushes me to say, "Oh, I'm going to give my thoughts on this on Instagram."
Yeah.
TikTok, I have a whole persona on TikTok, Mary. I have dozens of comments. I just love leaving zingers on like good zingers.
You're
I'm not
trolling
no,
people
no, no, no,
on
no, 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 no,
TikTok. You're one of
no, 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 no,
those.
no, not trolling. Like there's this, and this is funny. This is very transparent. There's this. Have you heard of Strawberry Milk Mob? Have you heard of them? The bikini company.
No.
It's these three sisters that are awesome. So it's
Uh-huh.
these three gals, and they all have these like nicknames: strawberry, coconut, and blueberry. They have this whole ecosystem they've built. You should totally see them.
Yeah.
But one of the girls, Coconut, she is extremely extroverted. She posts this like wild like content that you're like, you really decided to post that? That's nuts. And I'll say something in there like the queen of no drafts or something like that, or something like that.
Oh,
And post likes comments like that. I'll just live for people being like, oh, that's so funny. I love making like goofy comments on TikTok.
well, you
Instagram,
can go
absolutely
ahead
not.
and do that for our account while you're in
Okay.
there. Social
Okay.
Practice and Mary Elizabeth Robb, please,
On
and thank
TikTok,
you. Yeah,
I need to get better at TikTok.
and
I
all your
love
clients
posting on
too.
TikTok.
Actually, we could
What
have
do you
you be
think?
a community manager for us, and you could help us with our clients, and
I
you can comment on our behalf.
100%. I would
Yep,
love that. Like how
yep.
Wendy's on Twitter went viral
Oh,
for how much they would just burn people. I want stuff like that. I want a persona like that where I can like joke a little bit more.
we talked about Wendy's when I was in college. I guess I'm not that old. They didn't even have social media as a
No.
major back in the day. That
No,
wasn't
it's
even a
brand new.
thing. But
Instagram
yeah,
had just launched when we were in college.
well, that's Wendy's is a good point, just in the sense of, okay, so just to wrap up our KPIs, followers, engagement, views, impressions reached, saves, shares. We do like comments still. You should be getting new patient appointments and upsells for current patients through your social media efforts, depending on your marketing investment.
Hmm.
Um, that is also something social media can be tricky just transparently to measure ROI. We look at phone call leads, direct message leads, and landing page form fill leads. So
Yeah.
we do our best. However, social media is not just a lead generation tool, it is also
Hmm.
to help you remain relevant to your existing audience. So it's a great
Yeah.
place to upsell existing patients, upsell memberships, also keep people engaged with your practice. Aesthetics is very competitive, very saturated. So there's a lot to be said for the value behind us being consistent on social so that we keep our current patients engaged with us. And when they see that shiny object of that new practice that just opened up on the next corner, they stay bought in with us because they like us, they like our culture, they like our
Yeah.
content, they feel like they know us because we're doing a good job of telling our story on social. So there's a lot of value there.
Yeah.
But you mentioned Wendy's, and it made me think about the importance of being creative and
Mm.
being interesting and engaging and entertaining on social media. And I think
Hmm.
that's one of the topics you and I wanted to hit on is what's working this year and
Yes.
what type of content can I be sharing to get the most exposure for my practice.
Hmm.
So I like to keep things simple. I don't like learning the 100 different ways to do something. I just want to know big picture what works and how I can make it my own. So that's typically
Hmm.
how I educate. So what we're seeing right now is the more genuine and real and in the moment that you are with your audience, the better you're going to connect with them, and the more that they are going to be drawn to you, and the more that they're going to want to listen to you. So, the
Hmm.
more raw and real that you can be, and the more consistent you can be, the better. So, I'm
Hmm.
talking that can be inside the practice, showing the day in the life of what you're doing, what it looks like to be either a practice owner or a provider or a patient experience manager, whatever role that you're in, sharing that day to day behind the scenes. You might think it's boring stuff is really impactful. But
Hmm.
so that's one piece of it. And the word authenticity is used a lot in the industry. And people are sick of hearing the word authenticity. But follow accounts like Wendy's, but also follow influencers on social media that you enjoy following that have at least 50 to 100,000 followers, because they're going to show you too what's working. So I like to follow fashion and beauty bloggers, and I call them bloggers because that's what we used to call them, but now they're content creators, influencers, and
Vloggers, influencers, yes. Hmm.
whatever it is. They're creatives, right? I like to call myself a creative entrepreneur. Follow those accounts that are outside of aesthetics so that you can see what's trending. I've been
Hmm.
seeing a ton of photo dumps of
Yes.
influencers who are posting non-flattering photos of themselves, blurry pictures. It's just that more candid look, that 90s feel. If you remember growing up in the 90s, our parents would follow us around with a camera, and there would be like 3 hours of a video that was literally of nothing.
Hmm.
The idea is just to kind of, that trend is kind of coming back of the just more raw, real day in the life. So that's
Yeah.
one trend that's really, really big right now in 2025. The other one, especially for business, is corporate humor. We find a lot of success on our account with that. So we just had a reel go viral. Basically, we recreated we use a random trending audio, and the header was when your boss says, "Okay, great," instead
Hmm.
of "Oh my gosh, slay queen." It was
Yeah.
something like that.
Uh-huh.
And we had three of our employees like do a really funny, dramatic reaction to just like being really upset that I wasn't like slay queen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it went viral. So you can follow accounts like Corporate Bro, Corporate Natalie, and just look and see what's funny. And what's behind that is with the rise of TikTok, there are so many creators these days that are getting super creative with the way that they're sharing their story and showing who they are. And so if you can find a way to be funny and
Mm.
find a way to get super creative with it, that type of content's doing really well
Yeah.
also. So
I love that we're getting a little further away from, because the majority of clinics that I would talk to, they would say, "Oh, I don't want to be on social media because I don't want to dance all the time." And I love that we're getting
me
away
neither.
from like those viral dances, and it's much more like you can be a little goofy, you can be a little silly, you can use the trending audio and it's going to work without having to
Hmm.
like memorize like a special dance move in order to like tell
Uh-uh.
somebody a story. It's I'm so glad we're getting out of that because more people are going to adopt being like, "Oh yeah, I could be goofy. I just don't want to
Yeah.
be I just don't want to feel unprofessional while I'm being goofy."
Well, yeah. And as long as it aligns with who you are, like I am seriously jealous of the people that can do a TikTok dance. I did it in 2021 time. We filmed it 45 times. And there's three of us girls. I was in the back and I still messed up there was like 8 total steps we had to do.
I
But,
know.
but you're right. Like you don't have to dance on TikTok. The
Thank
idea is
goodness.
that you need to be creative and
Yes.
interesting and unique, so
Mm.
find ways to make what you do funny and
Yeah.
relatable, and that's what people connect with.
Now, which platforms does Social Practice manage for clients? What are the different channels that they manage?
Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, that's where you can
Got it.
find your target patient.
Got it. Got it. Got it. You guys, don't you also do, or did you do like e-blasts for people as well, or is that kind of just as needed
Yeah, we
product?
help with email marketing as well because we've got all the
Email
content
marketing.
we need for it.
So you don't manage Google My Business for people?
Oh my God, Jared,
You knew.
not
I was
again.
gonna go that direction.
Not again.
No, they don't. Google My Business is great for SEO, but is not necessarily a social media platform.
Google My Business is a place where people post reviews about their experience at your practice. And it's a place where you can upload the most up-to-date photos of your business.
Mm-hmm.
But it is
Yes.
not a social networking app. You can't make
Correct.
friends on there. You can't build relationships. And I don't know, I'm not an SEO anymore. I used to be
Yeah.
forever ago. It's been
Mm-hmm.
like 6 years. If you post to your Google My Business, it possibly could help with your visibility in Google search, right?
Approved. Approved. Yes, it does.
But it's not a place to connect with new people, grow a following,
Correct.
and tell your story in the way that you do on on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok.
Yeah, great. I want to make sure we got that out in the open. Officially, the official statement from Social Practice is that we don't manage Google My Business and it is not a social media. Now,
And even if all of our competitors start offering it, I'm not doing it.
yeah,
Just kidding.
let the competitors do that. Are you what do you think about LinkedIn for clinics? Is it too gimmicky? Like there's not enough of a good audience there for them to use, or is it just it's not a space that's identical to Instagram and TikTok?
So here's how I like to break it down. I keep it simple. Jared, what do you use LinkedIn for as a LinkedIn user?
Networking, job posting, letting my colleagues know what I'm up to. Um, that's it. It's all
Okay.
business, B2B related.
Okay. Awesome. So when it comes to for marketing for a local practice, there could be ways that we could strategically use LinkedIn, but the way I would look at it is it's more of a sales strategy, meaning you're
Yes.
using it to connect directly with other people, as in adding them as a connection, messaging them, inviting them to your spa.
Mm-hmm.
There is not a ton of value in creating a LinkedIn business page and
Yeah.
posting every single day to it from a time and cost perspective. And I'm always going to
Mm-hmm.
start with budget and time first. Now, would it hurt you to post to your LinkedIn business page every day? No.
Right.
But what are people using LinkedIn for? They're looking for a job, they're looking to
Mm-hmm.
network, they're looking to support other people in business. So, short answer, not beneficial. Long answer,
Yeah.
could be if
Could
you
you
have
could.
an internal sales staff
Yeah.
member and their job is strictly to build relationships with referring practices or
Mm-hmm.
corporate, memberships, whatever, then yeah, they should be using it as
Yeah.
a sales tool for sure.
Yeah, that's I agree. So I think LinkedIn could be a marketing strategy, but not a social media strategy. So like there was a gal in wherever in Georgia. I was doing a game talk, and she will DM. She'll find people's incomes and their jobs locally using Sales Navigator, and then she will DM
Yep.
them coupons for their wives. And she was like, "Oh, that's the social media
Yep.
one." It's like that's a marketing strat. That's a marketing
That's
campaign. Still,
sales.
still awesome. Like go for it. But
Yeah.
that's not building an audience and building an organic audience that's going to re-engage you for years to come. That is a one-to-one coupon that you're taking your time to send. It is not a social media strategy.
Yeah, and I think that's where, and I get it because if you're not in marketing sales, it's kind of confusing. And I've worked on both sides. I would consider that more under your sales bucket. So that is a
Yes.
sales tactic. And any
Mm-hmm.
sales tactic, the first result from that should be a lead generated. A
Yeah.
marketing tactic is more about brand awareness, building credibility with the
Mm-hmm.
intention of transitioning those efforts into leads, but that's not
Yes.
the same thing as a sales
Yeah.
tactic.
Yeah. Okay. So let me hone back into to social media and management. So there's two big questions or three topics I want to hit on with you really quick.
Okay.
Number one, let's talk about really quick. What would you to encapsulate this for 2025? What should people be focusing on for their social media efforts? So if somebody is a small clinic trying to build their following right now, so that hopefully they can work with an agency like yours one day, what things would you like them to do this year so that they can see significant growth and get into a position where they could work with like a social practice?
So I would start with getting clear on your brand mission, vision, values, and your messaging
Mm-hmm.
because social media is content marketing and you need to have a foundation on how you're going to tell your story. Then I would get consistent. That means showing up every day, at least during the week, Monday through Friday. That can be a post, that can be a story, whatever you can get in. Showing up every day is going to be important in creating content every day.
Hmm.
Also, building your community. So, spending time every day reaching out to new people so that you can grow your followers. Social media is a relationship building platform, first and foremost. Putting new content out, but not using it to build relationships is a huge miss that I see very often because building a community is a time commitment. And guess what?
Mm,
When you're a small business owner, time is not readily available. You're
that's
already
right.
wearing multiple hats. But if you want to grow a following and get good visibility on your content, you have to build your community. So that means reaching out to new people, responding to comments, commenting back on those who comment on your content, spending
Hmm.
time commenting on other content every day because the algorithm sees your activity. So the more active you are, not just in posting, but also engaging with people, the more opportunity you're going to get more visibility on the content that you are sharing, and the more
Hmm.
opportunity you're going to get to get more followers.
Yeah. Gary Vee, feel like this is years ago. He always had this with the 10-cent strategy. Do you remember that?
No.
It's kind of like I've always remembered this, and I think it's such a great way to think. He says, give your 2 cents on 5 posts a day. Um,
Oh,
give
yes.
your two
Yep.
cents on 5 posts a day.
Simple.
Spend 10 cents a day. Give your 2 cents on 5 posts a day for other people.
Yep.
So what you would say is try to or engage every day, every
Hmm.
business day at least. That means either making a post or at least making a story,
Yep.
um, and engage with your audience. So
Yep.
send comment on people's stuff and comment back as fast as you can to what people are sending to you. It doesn't
Yep.
have to be this incredibly overwhelming thing, because your post,
Hmm.
if it's organic, like what you're suggesting, organic and authentic, it can be something where you just quickly record a video and say, oh my gosh, going into the clinic today, so excited. We have a bunch of laser procedures and I love doing lasers. I'm just I get so excited because we have this incredible technology, and when people schedule those appointments, they get amazing results, and I love using that stuff. So if you're one of those
Yep.
patients today, I can't wait to see you. And if you want to get a laser appointment, click the link in this story, and I'd love to see you. That took
Yep.
15 seconds, and you're going to get 4 bookings out of that. 4 people are going to be like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I need to get whatever that's so cool.
Yep.
And it was cute and easy. No lights, no frills. You don't have to have a fancy camera.
No.
And although I do have a nice fancy camera that I like for social media, my little guy, I've got him over here. My little Fujifilm,
I
little
do love
cute
it.
point. I know
I
it just
really
fits in your
do.
pocket. I love this thing. Um,
I also though, do you know what's kind of frustrating? I noticed that sometimes, not to burst your bubble, this kind of
oh
bursts
no.
mine too.
Hmm.
Sometimes the iPhone photos perform better.
They
It's
do.
like
I agree.
Instagram knows, and
I
it's
just
so
like I
rude.
just like how the Fuji ones look. Maybe they don't perform as well, but I think they look so nice. Like my story
Great.
last night of Chris.
Also, that's good for feed posts too, and
Mm.
pinned to the top.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
yep.
Um, so be organic, engage with people, and it can take 10 minutes a day. It can be something quick and easy,
Mm,
short and simple. What do you think? 30 minutes, an hour a day?
yeah. For engagement, at least 30 minutes a day if you want to
Mhm.
see actual growth. I
30
think
minutes is fair.
I've shared this. I went to a Like to Know It conference. Do you know what Like to Know It is?
Yes, this reseller platform,
So,
right?
if you're a content creator, you can link your products through Like to Know
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
and you can put it as a story sticker. You can put it in your link in bio, and people can shop. Like I link all the time, my clothes, jewelry, home products. You can literally link anything
Hmm.
that you can purchase online. So I thought this Like to Know It conference, and there was some content creators on stage talking about how they grew their following and how they grew their just overall audience. Guess how much time they spend per day strictly on the community engagement portion of what their job is, which is to be on
As a
social media all day.
Yeah, as a full-time influencer, I would assume that they're like 3 hours a day commenting back and forth on things as a full timer.
6 hours. So you see all these stories.
On
That
their
stuff,
phone, they're not even using
yep.
like a computer. Oh,
Because here's the thing, when you start sharing content, guess what? People are gonna start reaching out. They're
It's
going to
true.
start replying to
It's
your
true.
DMs. They're going to start commenting, and it builds as you go on. Now,
Hmm.
when you're full time like that, they've got full time assistants that do it for them.
Right.
But
Right.
it put it into perspective. If you're going to show up, you got to remember people then are going to start reaching out, and if you don't respond to them right away, they're
Then you
not going
make
to keep
nothing.
showing up. Then you're going
Hmm.
to go further down the algorithm. So it's this double-edged sword, but
Hmm.
that's just a huge thing to consider. It's just
And
how
as
present and active you are.
and as you scale, you can make that part of your team's jobs too, where it's like, because like I personally believe front desk is their whole job should be in and outbound communication. They're the appointment
Oh, for
setter. So
sure.
if
Yeah.
someone's DMing the clinic, I think it's great when a social media company manages those DMs, but really the most knowledgeable person at that clinic is the front desk staff. They should be getting those
Yeah.
DMs and responding right away because they know they can get that person booked right then and there. Because
Yep.
best case scenario with like a social media manager or somebody else, best case scenario is the social media manager gets it right away, forwards it over to the staff. Then the staff is like, oh, that's right, I got to reach out to this person. And then there's 2 or 3 steps in between. But I always think like get your front desk as soon as possible communicating on your company's behalf because that's their whole job anyway. They're picking up phones and their job is appointment setting.
Well,
Um,
and there are tools. We partner with one. There's a lot out there, but it's called Aesthetic CRM, and you can integrate
mhm.
all the inboxes into one,
Yeah,
which is awesome for front
huge,
desk staff. So they can do emails, text, Facebook, Instagram, DMs, all in one spot, and
yeah,
it's their thing. So,
huge. Okay, so we talked about here's what you got to do for 2025. I have 2 more
mhm.
little points I want to hit with you. Number
Okay.
one, are hashtags dead?
No, they're not.
Okay.
But you only need 3 to 5, and they need to be intentional.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, because I think 2 years ago, 3 years ago, people were like, "Oh yeah, you should max out your hashtags at 30," and it's like, "Oh God!" Like it was like this whole thing to magically navigate the system. So now you're saying 3 to 5, and why
And
is
I've
that?
got an
Just because?
easy strategy.
Yeah.
Procedure service, specialty, city. Hashtag Botox, hashtag med spa, hashtag Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And research, you can see when you search the hashtags, you can see how many uses there have been on
Yeah.
Instagram. You can also
Yeah.
use tools. Sometimes those software tools, they just take too much of my time because they'll give you a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of random hashtags that aren't as good as just the basic one.
Yeah.
Um, because the algorithm has seen that people are in SEO keyword stuffing. It used to be
Yeah.
a thing when you would put a
Mm-hmm.
blog post together, 500 words, and they'd put Botox in there 25 times.
Mm-hmm.
So every sentence had the word Botox in it, and then
Mm-hmm.
the user experience is bad. So Google would serve up the page. People would
Yeah.
click on it and immediately exit because it's a bunch of
Correct.
fluff.
Yes.
Same idea with social media. If you put a bunch of fluff in there, if you put hashtag filler on a Botox post, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a post that's a Botox but not filler, and people click out of it, that negatively impacts the user experience, which
Yeah.
means the average time spent on the app goes down, which is bad for Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. They want
Mm-hmm.
users to be on there as long as possible. So they have to make sure that they are feeding us the best result possible, which means that the hashtags we're using need to be accurate and as specific as possible so that if people are searching for this, this is a good result for them to pull up.
Mm-hmm. So keep your hashtags short and sweet. And captions can do a lot of the legwork as well, right? Like if you're
Yeah.
putting content in the captions, AI is vastly is quickly infiltrating all of our technology. So I imagine Instagram and Facebook, Meta's AI that they have built in is significantly stronger at correlating phrases that you're putting.
Yep. The way that the algorithm's working is that they're looking for keywords in the actual captions, which is really interesting.
That's awesome.
Basically, the social media algorithm is trying to copy Google.
Yeah, as they should, honestly. Like I
Mhm.
think the more that we can get away from like trying to force the social media algorithm to do what we want through hashtags, we could just post something authentic and they can say, "Oh yeah, this will work for these people." Way
Yep.
better.
Yep.
Okay, so we talked about strategies, we talked about we talked about hashtags. Last thing is stories. How
Mm.
often should people post stories? What kind of content they be throwing in their stories? How often should they have a call to action in their stories? What do you think?
So stories is definitely a boots on ground strategy. So we actually support our clients with stories, and I call it support because it's not a fully delegated things. So
Hmm.
stories work best with authentic day in the life, this happened right now in this moment content.
Yes.
So, realistically speaking, 5 to 10 stories a day that staff can rotate would be ideal. I know it's difficult. We've got clients, they're all small businesses. So I know it's not as simple as it sounds, but just big picture, the goal would be 5 to 10 stories a day. We do want to use stickers as often as we can. So stickers would be a poll, a Q&A, the little
Hmm.
slider bar, the more often, or a link,
Hmm.
the more often we use stickers, the better. Now, I know that that's a little bit of a broad statement. I would say it's 50-50.
Yeah.
Half the posts need to have a sticker or a call to action, and then half of them do need to be just organic, authentic, because you don't want to come across as too salesy or that you're constantly pushing a product. I follow an
Yeah.
influencer I can think of who her engagement's going down because every single story is a link, a code,
Hmm.
buy this, buy that. So you need to still put in real life stuff. Show what's going on
Yeah.
in your practice, show what's going on at home. I mean, just be as real as you can and show the behind the scenes. But then also, you want to have a good even split of,
Yeah.
oh, this is how you buy the product. We have to tell people what to do. Just think of it like that. I'm posting this. What do I want people to do? Is this for me to relate to them? Or am I trying to get them to buy something? If it's for them to
Yeah.
buy something, we need to link it. We need to tell them how to do that.
Yeah, so speaking of those stickers, when you and I did our talk at Accelerator a month ago, I posted a story that had a picture of me like doing something like this. And I
Uh-huh.
said something like, what am I saying? Wrong answers only. And
Uh-huh.
I got dozens of, I think I have 2,000
Yeah.
followers right now, maybe 2,200 followers right now or something like that. And
Yeah.
I got dozens of responses and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of views, and I was like, oh, engagement stories work
See?
very well. And my engagement
You get
since
it.
has been more because I'm served up in that little, like, the reels that show up, those I'm
Yeah.
served a little higher in priority because
Yeah.
Instagram's assuming that people are going to like my stuff.
And you're
um
posting things that people are interested in.
yeah.
That's just like big picture. I think that's a part of it. And then also your relationships with those people really matters. Just knowing you personally as a friend, I know that you're really good at having relationships with people, and that reflects in your social media content. And that's not something to sleep on. I think that one thing we don't talk about enough is we want to find like what's the secret to getting visibility. Sometimes, I mean, actually, I would say a huge chunk of it is how real you are and how good you are at connecting with people, not just online but in real life. And so that's
Mhm.
something to keep in mind, because it's not just about results always. It's how are you able to connect with others, and when you're able to translate how you connect with others in real life to your social media, that's also how you will see success. That's what you
Mm.
did there.
Yeah. Yeah. And it worked like a charm. It worked like a charm. And
Yeah,
it's fun. It was fun. I was
yeah.
cracking up at some of the things that people were saying. Okay. So I know we're at the end here, and this is definitely like the longer podcast that I think we've put out. Yeah, we're at like 45 minutes right now, and I love it.
Oh my
Are
God.
there any quick pitfalls that you want to share with the audience of, like, hey, don't fall for this trap. Don't do this. Just be true. I know we've talked a little bit about don't buy followers. We've talked a little bit about the hashtags, like don't be too over aggressive with keyword stuffing. Is there anything that you're like, oh, I see a lot of people falling for this and it's not great?
My don't would be don't hesitate. And this
Ah,
is this is for you, Jared. So at the end of the day, you just have to start. It's
yeah,
never going to be perfect. You might relate to this too. I was a singer for 10 years. Um, Part of that profession requires you to be vulnerable and just share and create, right?
yeah,
And with our industry, a lot of us are perfectionists. We're type A, we like to get it perfect, right? And we
hmm,
want it to be exactly how we envisioned it. And that's part of the work that we're doing in the aesthetics industry. But social media is a creative strategy, it's a creative technique, and it is not meant to be perfect. And what I see happening more often than not is people hesitating to show up because they're afraid of not getting it right the first time, of not being perfect, of saying the wrong thing, of not fully knowing what to do, not being fully confident.
Hmm.
Ultimately, you will find success the sooner you just go and just run and just
Yeah.
try and try again. And you're going to make mistakes, and that is okay. If your intentions are in the right place, if you've got a good mission and vision, you've got the right values in line, you're going to do a good job and you're going to see success with it. But you can't wait for filming the same video 15 times and then now you've spent 4 hours of your day and then you're like, oh, you know what? Never mind, just forget about it. We can't do that. We gotta just try. And if you don't like it, you can delete it later. But
Mm.
I say just go.
That is awesome. I think that's perfect advice, Mary. Don't, yeah, your biggest thing to avoid is hesitancy. I think that's so
Huh?
fantastic. And I the reason everybody in the audience why Mary's saying that to me personally is because I think our company's social media has 2 posts, and it's because my assistant insisted that we put them out there, and they
Yeah.
did great. For the longest time, we've never posted, and now we're having a little bit more of a strategy. So I
Yep.
agree. I want more content out there, and I just want to give things. I love the availability of just giving things out on social, giving value to people, and
Yep.
engaging with them in the marketplace. So.
Yep.
Oh, this has been awesome. So, Mary, if somebody wants to work with you guys or somebody wants you guys to evaluate their business, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Find us on social media. Our handle is Social Practice US. If you look up Social Practice, you should just see us there. And then if you want to follow my personal brand, it's Mary Elizabeth Robb on Instagram and sometimes TikTok. We're working on the TikTok side of things.
Well, don't hesitate, Mary. You have to just post. You have to just post every day, and you can't
Oh,
and you can't hesitate. My good friend told me that.
my
Okay.
bottleneck is time. I need to hire my own
Mm,
company to do my
yeah,
personal TikTok.
it's
We
not a
have a
bad idea.
business TikTok, but
Hmm.
personal TikTok TBD. So
Yeah. And you can
coming
follow
soon.
me at Jared Elizabeth Roar is my is my handle. Just kidding. Well, thank you so much, Mary, and I'm so grateful that you took the time to be on this podcast. I know we went a little bit over time as well, but guys, I cannot advocate enough for Social Practice. They are a stellar group of incredible people. They have a very large company, and if you are at a point in your company in your clinic's growth where at this point, hiring a full-time social media team internally would just be crazy. It is way better to reach out to an agency like Mary's and say, hey, just take this whole social media thing off our plate. They know exactly what to do. They're working with tons of other clinics across the country, and they know what's working in the space. So there's so much more power that you get hiring a company like theirs. So I would highly advise
Yeah.
go to their Instagram, submit that form so they can at least see what's going right and what's going wrong
Yeah.
for you. So thank you so much, everybody, for listening to The Patient Magnet today. Again, this is with Mary Robb from Social Practice. My name is Jared Rohr from Aesthetic Conversion. And I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. And if you have any comments or have any ideas or have any thoughts, share them down here. And Spotify has comments. It helps a ton with our engagement and lets me know what you like and what you don't like. So make sure you comment down on Spotify and engage with what's happening there. So thank you so much,
Love it.
everybody.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Mary.
Bye.